file system structure and its description. We have a file system, and each in Linux that is divided into different directories, and that's something that we have seen previously as well. So now I am going to take some time in this lecture to go over each file system partition or the folder or a directory that is set up in Linux, and I will explain you every directory in Linux file system and what is it used for. So I have listed down all the directories, and I will go over them one by one based on how important they are. So the first one and the most important one that we have in the list is /boot. /boot is the file or is the directory that contains files used for bootloader, or the file that is in there is a grub.cfg or configuration file. What happens is every time your system boots up, the first thing the operating system that needs to boot up, the system looks for /boot. And that is somehow hard coded in the disk that you start up, go into /boot, and you will find what operating system you need to start, whether it's an old operating system or a new one or upgraded version. So it goes into the /boot file and it looks into it. By the way, I will go over each one of the directory in my Linux system, and I'll show you exactly what inside of each directory. Second one, we have /root. It is the root user home directory. Please remember, it is not the same as /. A lot of time people confuse /, which is also known as root, but it is not actually /root. So root, when you log into a system, a Linux system as root, and you do pwd, you will see you will be in a /root, not just /. Then we have /dev directory. This is a system's device such as a disk, a CD-ROM, speakers, flash drive, keyboard, any of those peripheral devices that are attached to your Linux system. They are created as a file as well, and they will show up in a /dev directory. Going and moving forward is the next one is /etc. It is also one of the most important directory in Linux file system. It has all the configuration file. If you are running SendMail, NFS, NTP, or any kind of application that actually runs on top of your Linux system or that comes with the Linux system, all those configuration files are located in /etc. If I wanted to modify something on, let's say, DNS, I will go into /etc name.conf file. If I wanted to modify something in the SendMail, I will go into etc mail and sendmail.cf or that type of configuration file. So just remember that anytime you're making change in /etc to any file inside of this directory, please make sure you make a backup first of that file before you modify the configuration file. Then we have /bin. /bin in the newer version has been changed to /user /bin. It is like a linked to /user /bin, and it is actually the directory where we have the commands that are used by everyday user commands like ls, pwd, these type of commands. All of them are in a /user /bin directory. Then we have another directory called /sbin, which is pointing or linked to /user /bin. This is a system /file system commands. Those are the type of commands that you really need for system type of purposes. If you want to extend your file system or configure your file system, that will take a look again in our when I bring up my Linux machine. /opt. /opt is used for optional add-on application. It is not the application for operating system apps like NTP, DNS. Those are the application that is actually come with the operating system. This /opt is not used for those type of application. That is used for third-party application. Let's say if you are installing, let's say, Oracle or some other kind of application or SAP, those are applications usually and most of the time are installed in /opt. Slash proc is the directory that is used and create files for all the running processes. Please remember, when you shut down your Linux operating system, there will be nothing in slash proc. It will be empty. So the kernel, which I will explain to you later on what kernel is, but there is a program kernel in Linux that actually creates all these files for all the running programs in that directory. Once system shuts down, all those files go away. Lib, which is now pointing to user lib, it's a location where all the C programming library files, and those files are needed for commands and applications. Meaning, if you are running a command, let's say pwd or ls, all those commands actually do have libraries attached to it that they could go and look for. And that's how these programs are run, because they are written in C and C++. If you wanted to know which command is used which library file is used for which command, you could use this command trace -e open, like pwd is the command. The next one, we have /temp directory, the directory that is used for temporary files. It has no significance whatsoever, but you could just, if you wanted to create a file, a temporary file that you think you will delete it later, you could create that /temp directory. /home directory is used for regular users. If I creating a regular account in a Linux file system, let's say ifzol, my home directory will be created in /home. The next one we have is /var. /var is used for system logs. Every time your operating system writes some output or some logs, all those logs or its application logs will always go into /var. So if you are troubleshooting issues, you could always go into /var log and other directories where you could find information about a specific application or if something going wrong with it. Then we have /run. This is where the system's daemon starts up on very early stages, for example systemd and udev, to store temporary runtime files like PIDs or process IDs files. And again, this will go away if the system is shut down. It's just to store those process ID and keep track of it. /mount is used to mount external file system. If nothing is mounted on your existing file system, then you could use that /mount to create a subdirectory and mount an external NFS file system to it. /media is used for CD-ROMs. If your system has a CD-ROM drive and you put a CD-ROM inside of it, then you close the tray, that CD-ROM will be mounted under /media. If you are using a virtual machine, you map the virtual drive to your virtual machine. That virtual ISO image will be shown under /media CD-ROM. So that's the list of all the directories that we have. That's the file system structure and its description. And now I'm quickly gonna go into my Linux system and I'll show you exactly each one of them and how it is set up. So I am logged in as who am I? I'll do root and I'll cd into / and I will do ls-ltr or ls-l, and you see all these directories that I have just covered. So first one I have is boot, and if you notice in the boot there is these two directories, grub and grub2. If I go into grub or grub2, let's go to grub2 and do ls-ltr, you'll see there is grub configuration file. This is the file that's telling the system which operating systems to start or which version of operating systems to start. Let's go to /root. This is the root home directory. If I just hit cd and hit enter and do pwd, this is the root home directory. There's nothing much in there. It's just its own desktop document. Probably it has, all of them are empty. Nothing is in there. Then I will go to /etc. This is the directory which has all the configuration file. Most of the files that you're going to see in this directory or the subdirectories, all of them would have .conf, so it means it has configuration file. Going to /bin, which is pointing to user bin, it has all the commands that we use, everyday commands, to actually talk to the operating system. Same thing with SBIN. This one has all the ones that deals primarily with your file system, disks, and extending the file systems. Then we have opt. You do ls-l, and you'll see this is the one that is used for third-party application. Right now it only had like RH, which stands for Red Hat, nothing else. Then we have proc, is the one that runs all the running programs temporarily. It is not the actual file that will stay on the disk. We have next one library, and library has all the library files that are needed to run a simple command. Next one we have /temp, and in the /temp you see all these are temporary files. You delete them, you create new files, it doesn't really matter. It's just a scratch space that you could put your files on. Then you have /home. /home is for the users, like I have my user here. I have another user called Seinfeld. This is the home directory. Then the next one is /var. /var is used for all the logs that are created in your system. So if you primarily the main log is /var/log, and this is where all the logs are created. If something goes wrong with the system, this is where you have to come in. By the way, every one of these that I'm going through, I will go through again later on, and you will get more and more familiar with these file systems and its directories and all the commands that I'm running on. Then the next one we have /run. This is the one that runs the system daemons very early on the stages, and these are temporary files. The next one we have mnt. This has probably nothing because I do not have any external file system mounted on my this computer. So if I mount it, I will use a command mount to file it, and usually it gets mounted in /mounted because you have to specify it, and that's where it goes. The last one is we have /media. Is this where if you had a CD-ROM attached to your system, this is where it will go. Anyway, this is what I wanted to cover in the file system structure and description. I really hope that this lecture covers everything in terms of the file system and structure. All right, thank you.